Hey there, friends. I just wanted to do a short video on what we did in class today so you can reference it when you need to. So this is a video about how to put information into your calculator, how to set the window properly, and how to look at the graph and the table. So let's go ahead and get started. So we're looking at page 106, question 6.4, and we're going to start by setting up the window. And then we're going to talk about why we set up the window the way we did. So we're going to set up the window as the values that they gave us. So -10. So you can see the steps that I'm doing down here at the bottom of my calculator. So we're going to just type over the x-min, and you're going to use this negative sign down here at the bottom, and then -10. Please make sure you use the negative sign and not the minus sign, otherwise you're going to get a mistake. So it's that negative with the parenthesis. And then we're going to go to 10. The X scale is how the tick marks are going to show up on your graph. So we're going to go by ones. If you went by 0.5s, it would say -10, -10.5, so, stuff like that. So then with a Y min, we're doing -100. So we're just going to put -100. And the max is 100. And then here, if I had a Y scale of 1, I'd have lots and lots of tick marks, because 100, that's a range of 200 points, and I'd have 200 tick marks. So I'm going to make that 25 to delineate it a little bit better. And then the rest of the stuff you don't really need to worry about. Okay? So there's my window setup. Now we're going to go to the Y equals, and we're going to take a look at the equation, typing in the equation. So your first equation is x minus 2. So we're going to go parenthesis x, and the x is up here next to the green key, x minus 2, and then close that parenthesis. And then the next one, we're going to have a parenthesis x plus 3. And you don't need to put in the multiplication sign, because the calculator knows that when I have these two parentheses next to each other, it automatically is a multiplication. Okay? So there we go. We got x minus 2, x plus 3, x minus 7. And then the second one, so I'm going to use my arrow key to go down to the next line, is 1/2. Now, if you have the latest version of the calculator, there's actually a shortcut that you can do to get the fraction bar. If you don't, you can always just put it in as 0.5. Okay, so you can either put in 0.5, but if you have the latest version of the calculator, you can put in alpha x, and that gives you a shortcut to the fraction bar. So 1/2, and you use the arrow keys for that. And then you're going to put the exact same thing you put in up above. Now I could type in x minus 2, x plus 3, x minus 7, but I also know that this whole thing is in Y1. So there's shortcuts up above here to be able to get to Y1. So if I do the alpha key and hit F3, oh, not F3, it must be F2. So I'm going to use my arrow key to see over here where it says Y vars. And I know that this whole thing is in Y1. So I'm going to just type Y1, because x minus 2, x plus 3, and x minus 7 are all Y1. So it's really just 1/2 of Y1. And again, if you'd rather, you can just type all of this in. Okay? So again, you can go back and look at the video to see how I did that if that was too quick for you. And then we want to look at a graph. So I type my equations in, I set my window, and now I want to look at a graph. Okay? And there we go. There is my graph. Oh, and I have something over here that I don't want. And if I go to second stat plot, or if you got an error, it might be because one of your plots are on and you don't have any information to plot that point. So you can just go here to 4 plots off. So if you got an error message about invalid dimension, that's probably what it's all about. And then you go back to graph, and now I can see the graph of my function. So they're 2 different colors. If you have an older calculator, they're not going to be 2 different colors. But the first one is blue and the second one is red. And when you went to graph that, the first one that graphed was the blue one, and then the second one that graphed was the red one. If you have an older calculator that doesn't have colors, you can see which one graphs first and which one graphs second. So this is my first equation, and this is my second equation. And like we talked about, what we notice about these is that they all cross at the same place. And that's because when I go back to my y equals, they all have the same factors, which are the x-intercepts. What they're going to have that is different is, if you notice the graph, my y-intercepts are different, and that's because one is multiplied by 1/2, the other one is not. And it looks a lot the same, but it's not quite as tall. The second one isn't quite as tall. But if you think about it, the entire graph, the entire equation is being multiplied by 1/2, so the y values aren't going to go as high. All right, so the last thing I want to show you is how to look at the table. And if we go to second table, and we had talked about how your y-intercept is going to be 42 for the first one when you multiply all the constants, and 21 for the second one. And notice here our intercepts, 2, 0, 0, 7, 0, 0. Those are the x-intercepts. And if I use my arrow key to go back, -3, and it's 0, 0. So I know that those are my x-intercepts. So you can also check what the y values are for your function right here in the table of values. So this is how your graph, your table, and your algebraic equation all can give you similar information. And if you understand what's going on, it all makes a lot more sense. All right, my friends, have a great day.